to all our viewers. You are watching Tonight with Boy Abunda. This evening, we will have a fruitful discussion about rights and duties. Rights are moral principles or norms of standards of human behavior that are protected by law. It both entitled and obligate us because we cannot talk about rights without talking about duties. After all, they are interconnected. The duties allow us to be part of a community because the main duty of a person is to balance between self-needs and societal needs. To understand the context better, it will be discussed by our guests. Joining us tonight are commendable and amazing women. What's special about them is that they highly promote humanity. Let's welcome Community Ambassadress Ella May Regalado, a humanitarian leader, Camille Gomez, and last but definitely not the least, a renowned philanthropist and lawyer, Miss Laila Manuel. Everyone, please give them a massive round of applause. Good evening. Thank you for accepting our invitation to be in our program.
Good evening. It is our pleasure to be part of your program.
Thank you for having us in your program, Mr. Abunda.
We are so grateful to be invited as your guest.
You're all welcome. Miss Ella, how is the feeling of being a community ambassadress?
I wouldn't say there is only one way to describe of what being a community ambassadress is like. But I'll try my best to describe this role in the way that I have perceived it over my experience. A community ambassadress must be exceedingly responsible because behind the beautiful title is a great burden. I have spent countless hours volunteering with the different organizations for the betterment of the community. I participated in the different programs such as the Center for Leadership, Social Change, and Relay for Life. Also to support children's charities and the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation.
Wow, those are difficult duties but highly important.
Yes, that is why I need to be extremely committed to my work because it is my duty to ensure that I could effectively use my voice to promote equality and human rights to improve the community.
Thank you for sharing your experience, Miss Ella.
You're welcome.
For Miss Camille, why did you choose to become a humanitarian leader?
Mr. Abunda, I was poor before and I worked hard to achieve my dreams. And now that I am successful in life, I would like to share it to everyone because we all know that not all is as fortunate as I am to become successful. So I vow that I will feed and empower the hungry and give them the opportunities so that they could also become successful, and therefore it is my duty that in the midst of crisis when everyone is lacking access to our basic needs such as shelter, food, and healthcare, then my humanitarian aid brings relief in those moments. My goal is to save lives, to ease sufferings, and also to maintain human dignity.
That is a meritorious commitment. For Miss Laila, I am curious about why you become a philanthropist.
Although I was born with a golden spoon, but I am fully aware of crisis in our country, and I would like to have a started participation to aim it. Through my charities, I know I could give hope in someone's life.
Are you helping by giving unfortunate people?
Yes, but part of helping unfortunate people, I also supported government projects and endeavors that are meant to public usage.
You are truly admirable. Based on all of your commitments and obligation, it highly promotes rights and duties. Miss Camille, as a humanitarian leader, you highly advocate and support that rights should be exercised. So I am curious about your notion of rights.
Right is something to which every individual in the community is morally permitted. It is the common claim of people in every cultured community recognizes as essential claims for their development and is being enforced by the state.
Are there different kinds of rights?
Yes, when I became a philanthropist, I decided to dig deeper and understand the law. And there are 5 kinds of rights. First is the natural right. It is based on the natural law, and this inherent right is given to all individuals simply for the sake of being human. Some example of natural right is the right to property, the right to ask or throw questions to our government, and also the right to express our thoughts and to have an independent one. Second is the human rights. This is based on positive human laws, either those enacted by the state or by religion. Some examples of this is the right to freedom of religion, the right of fair trial when charged in a crime, the right not to be tortured, and also the right for education. The third one is the alienable and inalienable rights. When we say alienable rights, these are rights that can be surrendered, renounced, and removed, such as the right to operate a business and the right to travel. While when we say inalienable rights, these are rights that cannot be renounced nor surrendered, such as the rights to life, the rights to have an education, and the right to marry. The fourth is the juridical and non-juridical rights. Juridical rights are those permitted and accepted by the law, like for example, the right to be respected, permitted, and those fulfilled for the sake of justice, while non-juridical law are those based on virtue rather than strict justice.
Lastly, the right of jurisdiction, which pertains to the lawful authority to have the right to have the power to govern and make laws of his or her constituent.
Those are social powers that should be obtained by everyone regardless of their social economic status, and those are bound to be respected by everyone.
That's clear. How about the characteristics of rights?
We have 3 characteristics of rights. First is coaction. It is a moral power attached to our rights and to enable it exert necessary violence for its defense. Second is limitation. It is the natural limit and boundary beyond which a right cannot be insisted without violating another right. And finally, we have collision, which pertains to the conflict of 2 rights wherein to exercise one right violates the other.
I now understand what you mean, and I think that it's somehow related to civil rights.
Yes, civil rights pertains to equal opportunities, legal protections, and the ability to participate in society without persecution.
Thank you, Ms. Camille, for your genuine answers.
I have a question for Miss Lila. Miss Camille have already explained civil rights, and for you as a philanthropist and lawyer, what are the civil rights that you advocate?
I advocated all rights under it. Civil rights refer to freedom of speech, press, and religion. Also freedom to vote and to against unwanted researches of the property. To have fair and to remain silent to police integration. In our country, some people were deprived of their rights. Therefore, I am here to discontinue such as hideous instance because I feel that everyone should have equal privilege.
I would feel the same. There are reports that there is an instance that you oppose some government decisions.
Yes, if the certain discussion started to violate our Bill of Rights.
Would you mind clarifying the concept of the Bill of Rights?
The concept of Bill of Rights is declaration and enumeration of the person's right and privilege and a limitation upon the power of the state. We have numerous sections under the Bill of Rights, and each section is designed to protect against violation by the government to a person.
I understand your point, and based on my discussion to you, I am starting to think that rights are connected to the economy, society, and culture. Is that right?
Definitely, Mr. Abunda. We have economic, social, and cultural rights.
What are social, economic, and cultural rights?
Economic, social, and cultural rights are various human rights such as the right to work, right to adequate standards of living, including food, clothing, and housing. The right to healthy physical and mental health, the right to social security, the right of health and healthy environment, and the right to education.
I see where you're coming from. Based on your answers, I am assured that you take your duties seriously as philanthropist and lawyer. So I am interested in your notion of duty. So for you, what is duty?
Duty pertains to morally and legally obtained to do. When I say morally, it pertains to one own factor, such as duty as a child, as a friend, as a parent, etc. And when I say legally, it pertains to position, such as teacher, lawyer, although even a president. Just like my position as a lawyer, my moral obligation is to never use my authority for aggression, but human good. And while my legal duty is to use my resource to protect and promote equal rights.
Got it. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Miss Laila. For Miss Ella, I have talked about duties with Miss Laila and the concept of rights to both of them, and I am assured that you are well familiar with it. Therefore, as a community ambassadress, what do you think is the connection between rights and duties?
I believe that rights and duties are inseparable because each right corresponds to an obligation. If a person has the right, then it has an obligation related to that right. For example, if I enjoy the right to life, then I have an obligation to do not cause any harms to my life and someone else. If I have the right to vote, then I must avoid vote buying.
Do you believe that it is one of the duties to reciprocate the rights?
A reciprocal obligation of rights and duties is crucial. The right of one person implies in another to respect that right. For example, I have the freedom of speech. Therefore, others must respect my opinion, and I also need to respect someone else.
What are the kinds of duties?
We have 5 types of duties. First is legal and natural duties. A legal duty is an act recognized as a duty by law and treated as such for the administration of justice. A natural duty is imposed by natural law, meaning that the duties are innate to all of us and are not voluntarily acquired through participation in any practice. It is usually based on a persona as a moral agent. A moral agent refers to be responsible for action. There are some of duties that are moral but not legal. For example, as a person, it is my duty to respect elders, but there are no laws to support it. Second is positive or negative duties. A positive duty is imposed by human positive law. It refers to our positive actions towards duties to uphold justice, render mutual aid, and give mutual respect, meaning that the law obliges us to do an act. For example, with my position as ambassadress, I have to help the people. A negative duty is that the law that obliges us to forbear from doing an act, unlike in positive duty that gives an obligation to a person to do an act. In a negative duty, it implied to refrain a person to do an act. For example, I must not kill people. Third is primary and secondary duties. Primary duties are those which assist persons and independently in any other duty. For example, it is a duty to forbear causing personal harms to others. Secondary duty is that which has no independent existence, but exists only for the enforcement of other duties. For example, if you have injured a man, therefore it is your duty to pay the damages. Fourth is universal, general, and particular duties. The universal duties are those which are binding on all normal citizens of the community. There are duties that are acquired by anyone regardless of race, gender, socioeconomic status, and etc. General duties are those which are binding on specific classes of normal persons. For example, one of the duties that a woman could do is to bear a child, and of course, a man cannot do it. Particular duties are those which are binding on between the persons who have voluntarily undertaken them. These are normally duties under a certain person. For example, a president's duty is to lead the country. A priest's duty is to lead a mass. And lastly is relative and absolute duties. A relative duty is those to which there is a corresponding right in some persons or definite body of persons. For example, it is a duty to pay one's debt to the creditor. An absolute duty is those compelled by the state in respect of a right. It is owed only to the state, wherein if you disobey, it is considered a crime and must be punished. For example, as a citizen, it is our duty to pay community tax.
I understand what you are saying, and I suppose that there are various contexts in regards to duties wherein it is inevitable to have conflicts of duties. Am I right?
Absolutely, Mr. Abunda. Actually, there are three conflicts that might happen. First is duties towards God are given priority over those towards men. For example, the law dictates that a person should only have one spouse. Therefore, to have an affair besides your spouse is considered as a crime. However, in regards to Muslims, wherein the religion allows them to have a multiple wives, therefore, the law must respect their religious beliefs, and there will be an exemption to them. Second, duties that secure public order or the common goods have the priority over that safeguard the individual. These are the duties that must be done for the sake of a great number over the few. Third, duties towards family and relatives take precedence over those towards strangers. In here, there will be a conflict between your duty as a person and your duty as a member of the state. Now, those conflicts could be resolved through proper investigation and in due process.
You are totally right. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge.
Before we do fast talk, perhaps the three of you might like to invite or promote something. You may begin.
I would like to thank all the people and organizations that supported me throughout my project. I would like to encourage everyone as leaders, as public figures, as parents, and as human beings. We must do all more to protect individuals' rights and be responsible for our duties so that we can be able to build a conducive community.
I would like to thank everyone for supporting my advocacies, and I also like to persuade people to lend a heart for those who are in need and continue supporting good activities for a better cause.
I would like to promote my foundation Equitability Charity. You may do donation to support us and help those who in need. I would urge people to also help others with simple gesture that we could give.
Now let us do fast talk. I will give a statement and you must recognize whether it is right or duty. Did you get it? Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Is yes.
Right?
Freedom
Right.
of movement.
Right.
Obey the law.
Duty.
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 Establishing and maintaining a safe workplace.
Duty.
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 Equality before the law.
Right?
Right.
Right.
A fair trial and presumption of innocence.
Right?
Right.
Right?
Pay taxes.
Duty?
Duty.
Duty.
Freedom of thought, conscience, and religion.
Right?
Right.
Right?
Peaceful assembly.
Right?
Right.
Right?
Report contagious illnesses or pestilence to public health authorities.
Duty?
Duty.
Duty.
Tax and superannuation.
Duty?
Duty.
Duty.
All of your answers are correct, and we have a fruitful discussion about rights and duties wherein we further understand that rights are the factors that give people a privilege to live, and the duties are our obligations as a person and a member of state wherein rights and duties are interconnected. Therefore, we need to become responsible to all the rights that have given to us, because in every right has a corresponding duty that we must do. Once again, thank you to our valuable guests, Community Ambassadress Ella May Regalado, a humanitarian leader, Camille Gomez, and a renowned philanthropist and a lawyer, Miss Laila Melo. Thank you everyone for watching Tonight with Boy Abunda.